Good morning. How is everyone today? Now, I'm thinking about what happened yesterday, and I bet half of you think Bleeker's a snitch, right? Y'all called him a snitch, didn't you? Well, we got to think about what was going on there. Silverside's kind of had him in a bad situation, and I think most of us would have rattled out everything just like Blinker did. Plus, Blinker trusts Silversides, which I think is a little bit of a mistake, but maybe not. Maybe I'm not going to judge Silversides till we see for sure whether he can be nice or not. Okay, chapter 22. Blinker makes a report. Once the girl saw that Blinker had returned alive, she sought out Silversides in the backyard and told her she could return home. But when the girl failed to apologize for her false accusation, a proud Silversides refused. She preferred to remain outside. With the cat out of the house, Blinker was free to roam at will. For most of the next day, however, he remained buried deep beneath the wood chips in his cage, where he slept fitfully or lay moaning in despair. Quite often he wept. Over and over again, he wished he had never left the cage, the room, the house. How he wished he had never met Ragweed. Even more, he wished that he had never met Clutch. Oh, Blinker sighed, I've fallen in love with the most amazing mouse in the whole world, only to be so weak that I've put her life in danger. The only way of saving her is by sacrificing the rest of the mice. But if Clutch learns about that, she'll hate me forever anyway. On the night after his return, Blinker, as he'd been told to do, crept out of the house and met Silversides. What I need, the cat said, is complete information about the kind of security they're setting up. I don't know how to get there, Blinker whispered in anguish. I'll escort you, Silversides assured him. After leading Blinker back to the street where the new club was, she said, Do you want me to come and get you in a couple of hours? I think I can find my way back now, Blinker murmured. Remember, Silversides went on, if you don't bring me the information I want, you'll never see those two friends of yours alive again. Blinker, who had been considering running away, bowed his head in submission, convinced Silversides he would do exactly as she threatened. Do they have a name for this place? Silverside asked. Cafe Independent. Cafe Good Riddance, the cat sneered. Now go. Blinker made his way into the old bookstore. The place was very busy. Windshield was attacking one wall with paint. Foglight was still in a corner, immersed in writing. Clutch, Lugnut, and Dipstick were hard at work, pushing and pulling a volume of old encyclopedia across the floor with the intent of using it as a performance platform. Other mice were polishing the floor with bits of tissue. Still others were collecting and carrying out the endless trash, dumping it in the back hallway. Excuse me. Blinker kept telling himself that he must let Clutch know what Silverside was planning. Hey, dude, what's happening? Blinker, startled out of his sad reverie, looked up. It was Ragweed. Oh, never mind, Blinker murmured mournfully. Where you been, dude? Ragweed asked. I thought you were gone for good. Eyes to the floor, Blinker silently shook his head. Cool. If we're ever going to open this place, we need every paw we've got. How about you and me taking a walk around the place and checking out security? Come on, dude. I can use your smarts. There was a hint of impatience in Ragweed's voice that made Blinker cringe. Oh no, I couldn't. Let's hit it, dude. Like life is moving on. Sick to his stomach, Blinker followed along after Ragweed. The mice first checked the back door. The way had been locked, making it impassable for any creature. From there, they went on to check the front door hole. We'll post guards both places, Ragweed explained, at all times. I don't think cats can get in, but dude, this place has to be like triple safe. The reluctant Blinker in tow, Ragweed climbed the trickety old staircase to the second floor of the building. At the top, they found a room cluttered with junk from past years. Windows front and back, Ragweed observed, but closed tight. Cool. Still, I think we'd better post sentries up here too. They can look out on the front street and back alley. There's a hole in the wall over there, Blinker pointed out timorously. It was the size of a grapefruit and rather jagged around the edges. Wait just a minute. Hey, awesome mouse, Ragweed cried and hurried over to examine the hole. Fantastic. It goes into the next building, dude. Way good. Why is it so good? Blinker asked. We needed one decent bolt hole, dude. This'll be like a great one. I mean, if we ever need to empty the place out fast, we can zap up the steps and cruise out this way. I see, Blinker said, knowing that he would be telling Silversides everything he learned made him feel ghastly. Ragweed looked about. I suppose we should check the basement. Ragweed, do you really think the cats will try to get in? Blinker asked. Ragweed shrugged. Maybe, maybe not. But like we can't take any chances, know what I'm saying? Maybe, Blinker stammered. It's all a mistake. What's a mistake? Having the club. Don't be a dork, dude, Ragweed snapped. Blinker was afraid to say any more. The two mice went down the steep flight of steps that led into the basement. The area was small, dark, and damp. The dirt floor was spotted with stagnant pools of water from the hosing the floor had received the day before. A rusty furnace stood in one corner. Coils of wire and rope hung from the walls. Some broken chairs were piled one atop another. Bundles of old advertisements, along with a few boxes of decaying books, took up the rest of the space. What do you think that is? Ragweed asked. He pointed to a large metal pipe that stuck into the room. Blinker stared at it. An old sewer hookup, he said. Mouse, now how do you come to know so many things? Well, I've not lived much, but I've read a great deal. Okay, what's a sewer? It's a pipe that carries away dirt and waste. Where does it lead to? Probably to a bigger sewer. But if it's unhooked, Blinker said, And it looks that way because no water is coming out. I suppose it doesn't lead anywhere. Ragweed hauled himself up, going from the newspapers to the chair to a coil of rope until he reached the pipe. Clinging to its lip, he peered in. It was dark inside and had a bad odor. "You're right," he called down to Blinker. "It's not being used." He dropped back down. "I don't see any way to get in, do you?" he said, looking around again. "No." "There's no point in posting a sentry here." I think you should," Blinker stammered. "You do? Why?" Blinker hung his head. "Just in case," he mumbled. "Yeah, I suppose you're right. Let's go." The two mice returned to the main floor. "Thanks for your help, dude," Ragweed said to Blinker. "And cheer up. Things are going to get better." "Ragweed," Blinker called as Ragweed started off. What's up, dude?" Blinker's paws trembling. I have a confession to make." "A what?" It's unable to find the words to speak. Blinker took a deep breath with the intention of trying again. Before he could say anything, Clutch ran up and joined them. "Blinker," she cried, "where have you been, dude? I've been worried about you." "You have?" "Of course I have." "Why?" Clutch grinned. "Hey, Mouse, I like seeing you around." Blinker bowed his head. "You do?" "Right, so like where you been?" "Home." "I thought you were giving that life up." "I don't know how," Blinker whispered. Ragweed considered the two of them. They were certainly a striking couple. She tall and thin, gray-brown with the top of her head dyed green. He was small and shy, entirely white, with blinking pink eyes and a naked tail. Sensing he should leave the two mice alone, Ragweed started to back away. Clutch grabbed hold of him. "Hey, dude, you guys, the guys and I have been thinking. Remember I told you about Muffler? Wasn't that your lead singer? You got it. The one Silversides took out." At the mention of Silversides, Blinker paled. "Anyway," Clutch continued to Ragweed, "with all your talents, dude, we figure you might be a singer too." "You mean be a part of your band?" Ragweed exclaimed. He was rather pleased. "Hey, dude, it would be awesome. How about giving it a try?" "Well, sure, Clutch, like whatever. Just let me finish here with Blinker and..." He turned to where the white mouse had been, but Blinker was not to be seen. Oh my, two little mice, both like the same little girl mouse. Goodness. Chapter 23, Opening Night at Cafe Independent. You got any ideas about if the cats are gonna come, and how do you think they might try to get into the new cafe? I have some ideas. I bet you have some ideas. And let's see what we find out. The dim light of an outside street lamp slipped through the front window of the bookstore, providing a flickering pink light. The light cast letter-shaped windows so that the old name of the store was spelled out on the spotless, shining floor. All the old books that could be salvaged had been arranged neatly on shelves. Those that had pictures had been opened to provide decorations. Signs had been polished. One read children's books, another history. Some of the others read sports, animals, and health. Kind of like my library at school. Think it looks like my library now? They've got it all cleaned up. The mice had constructed a long counter out of discarded book boxes. Behind this construction stood Radiator, the fat mayor of Mousetown. He was ready to dispense nectar, honey, and water from an array of bottle caps spread before him. Because of the grand opening, he was offering 3 kinds of cheese, green, orange, and white. Scattered throughout the room within easy reach were heaps of breadcrumbs, sunflower seeds, and alfalfa sprouts. The volume of the encyclopedia had been pushed into one corner in anticipation of the B-flat tires performance. Small tuna fish cans were already in place for Lugnut. Dipstick's bass guitar was there, so was Clutch's new guitar. Off to one side of the platform, Foglight was still working on the finishing touches to her poem. On the other side of the room, near the art section, Windshield was whipping paint onto the wall with his tail. As he worked, he kept mumbling under his breath, "Make the turning point a brighter yellow. Give the trend a more vibrant blue cast." Ragweed and Clutch stood in the center of the room. For the occasion, she had re-dyed the top of her head bright red. Her purple earring, which was newly polished, dangled prettily. As for Ragweed, he looked no different than he ordinarily did, though he had licked down his fur to a neatness that would have made his mother proud. He and Clutch were standing before a group of 5 grim-faced, muscular young mice, all of whom had volunteered to be the security guards. "Okay, dudes," Clutch began, "you know what we're worried about. Do I have to, lay it all out?" "Cats," the mice chanted in unison. "And you don't have to hear it from me, they are no joke. So you've got this awesome responsibility. Know what I'm saying? You all okay with that?" The mice acknowledged their understanding by nods and squeaks. "Cool. Now, Ragweed here will give you your particular assignments." "Brake pad," Ragweed began, speaking to a particularly large young house mouse. "You'll be at the front window, checking out the street in front of the store. That's an awesome stretch out there, dude. Killer activity." "Hey, no problem," the burly mouse replied, squeezing his front paws so that his knuckles crunched audibly. "Sparkplug," Ragweed continued to a young harvest mouse with large ears and bright eyes. "You take the back window. You're the one who has to check out the alley. Listen for weird sounds. Keep your eyes open for odd shadows. They can be something else. Know what I'm saying?" "I'm hanging right there," Sparkplug replied. "Piston, you and Seatbelt, a deer mouse and a house mouse. Divvy up the back steps and the upstairs bolt hole. That's a really crucial place. So like Clutch says, are you guys all up for it?" "We can handle it," Piston said for the 2 of them. "Finally, Bumper, you got the basement. You can stay on the top of the basement steps. Nothing but junk and an old sewer pipe down there. Even so, it has to be watched like the other places. You with me?" "I hear you, Bumper," a short-tailed grasshopper mouse replied. "I miss anything?" Ragweed said, turning to Clutch. Clutch shook her head. "Just keep your ears and eyes open to where it's at, dudes. Like, I know you'll be wanting to check out what's going here, where the party is, but can't say it too many times. What you're doing is a killer important. You let any cats in and you can nuzzle tomorrow goodbye. So if you get tired or need to check out, hey, no problem. Just come to me or Ragweed here. But those posts have to be covered at all times. Know what I'm saying? Everybody cool?" The mice all said they understood and scooted off to their post. "Well, dude," Clutch said to Ragweed, "I think we're all set." She looked around the new club with satisfaction. Then she turned back to Ragweed. "Hey, have you seen Blinker?" Ragweed replied, "I don't know. He hasn't been around today. I guess he'll show up." "I worry about him," Clutch said. "Hey, dude, you really like him a lot, don't you?" Ragweed blurted out. Clutch eyed Ragweed. "Hey, he's way cool," was all that she said before hurrying off. Ragweed, wishing he understood exactly what Clutch was feeling, watched her go. "First mice coming in," Breakpad bellowed from his ledge post on the front window. And indeed, the mice of Amperville had begun to stream into the club. They came along and alone. They came in pairs. They came in groups. However they came, they arrived in numbers. It was as if all the mice in Amperville felt the need to be at the cafe's opening night. The air was filled with great excitement. Soon the old bookstore floor was covered with a milling mob of mice, generating a bubbling babble of squeak and squeal. Groups of mice were crowding together to talk. Individual mice strolled about and gawked as they inspected the new club or looked on as Windshield continued to paint his wall. Clutch was very much the center of attention. Ragweed could see her red head bobbing about as she moved from group to group. She was accepting congratulations, even as she told anyone who cared to listen how the club came to be. As the evening progressed, Ragweed remained in a corner, observing how things were going. From time to time, he slipped away and went upstairs and down, checking with the security guards, making sure they were in place and attentive. "The better job you do, dude," he told them one by one, "the better this place is going to be. Hey, face it, you guys are the most important mice in the place." Some 2 hours after the first mouse had arrived, Radiator worked his way to the platform. Once there, he sat up on his hind legs and looked over the crowd, rubbing his paws in satisfaction, nodding to first this mouse, then that, greeting most by name. Finally, he called, "Hey guys, listen up." He was completely ignored. The second time, he fairly brayed, "Can I have your attention, dudes?" That quieted the crowd. All eyes and ears turned toward the mayor, the only one who did not pay attention was Windshield, who continued to toil away on his painting as if no one else was there. More purple where the mice are helping mice, he murmured. As mayor of Mousetown, Radiator began, it's my duty and pleasure to welcome you to the opening night of Cafe Independent. There was a mouse chorus of cheers and squeaks. There are any number of mice we have to thank, but before we get into that, I want to introduce Clutch's mother, Foglight. Foglight will read to us from the mouse epic she has been composing. Will you please join me in giving Foglight a Cafe Independent welcome? More applause and cheers as Foglight, looking somber, marched across the platform. When she reached the middle, she paused, looked sternly at the upturned faces and whiskers, and began to recite her poem. She spoke slowly, enunciating each word with great care, using a free paw to provide emphasis. From Cheese of Grass, Part 17, she intoned. There once was a poetical young mouse who was considered a cantankerous souse, yet the world never knew was that his fleas were more than a few. And until this house mouse doused the louse, no one knew he was really not a grouse. I hope the mice understood that, because I didn't get it. You guys get it? I don't know. Thank you, she said. For a brief moment, there was nothing but stunned silence. Then the mice broke into wild applause. Foglight, smiling and bowing stiffly, backed off the platform. Radiator returned to the stage. Thank you, Foglight. Great poem. Thank you again. And now, he called out, I want to introduce the mouse who had so much to do with this, our own Clutch. Clutch leaped on the stage, wearing a grin as wide as her face, her red hair radiant, her earring bouncing. Hey, dude, she called out, like, this is an awesome moment. Know what I'm saying? Check it out. But the dude who is really the force behind all this may be new to you. There he is, over there, like in the corner. My tight bud, Ragweed. All eyes turned to Ragweed, who, grinning, waved at the crowd. But all this talk is not like where it's at. I want to call the members of the B-flat tires up here, along with Ragweed. You're going to swing into a little Cafe Independent music. You dudes ready for that? Yes, the crowd roared back. Lugnut and Dipstick edged onto the stage and got ready to play. Lugnut set himself behind his guitar. Dipstick was primed to hit the drums. Within moments, Ragweed joined them up front and center. Clutch turned to her band and snapped her fingers. 1 and 2 and 3. Dipstick stroked out the rhythm with a wild flourish. Then the other band members joined in with a rocking, rollicking beat of joy. Clutch nodded and whisked her tail. Lugnut leaped up and down. At first, Ragweed hung back, head bowed, absorbing the beat. Then he stepped forward. In his low, husky voice, he began to sing. This old world is swinging on, and it keeps on spinning round and round. The sun comes up and the moon goes down, but the dancing goes on and on. Hey, mouse, what you doing tonight? Hey, mouse, what you doing tonight? Come on down and be independent. Come on down and be independent. There was a general squeak of approval. The next moment, the floor was crowded with dancers. They leaped and jumped and wiggled, and over again they joined in the chorus. Come on down and be independent. Come on down and be independent. Here we all are, all the mouse, rocking at the club, having a good time. Clutch looked at Ragweed. Ragweed looked at Clutch. They grinned at each other. Is Blinker here yet? Clutch mouthed. Nope, Ragweed replied, and continued to sing his heart out. Well, maybe we've had a little turn in what's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be Clutch and Ragweed. Or is it going to be Clutch and Blinker? I don't know. You guys will have to think about that. See if you can come up with any ideas. Okay, we will finish that for another week. On Monday, we're going to find out some excitement hits the club. I don't know whether it's going to be good or whether it's going to be bad. How do you think the cats are going to try to get in? How do you think they're going to try to get in? You want me to give you a clue? I'm not going to give you a clue. Bye, guys. See you Monday.